North Korea launched another intercontinental ballistic missile, this one with greater range than any fired by the communist North to date.
I will only tell you that we will take care of it.
The way to take care of this is to shoot those missiles down as they leave the launch pad.
The so-called mastermind behind the Benghazi attacks was convicted today on terror charges, but he was cleared of murder charges.
This is a total miscarriage of justice. An accessory to murder is also guilty of murder.
After nearly 2 months of terrorizing a community, an accused serial killer is behind bars. Police expected to charge Howell Donaldson III in 4 murders in Tampa, Florida.
President Trump came a step closer to the goal line on tax reform today when the Budget Committee voted to send the bill to the full Senate.
I think it's going to pass, and it's going to be very popular.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi boycott the White House meeting, charging the president is pushing the country towards a shutdown.
They've been all talk, and they've been no action. And now it's even worse. Now it's not even talk.
Find us where the party's at. This is how we roll. Whoa, we hanging around, singing down everything on the radio.
Our friend Cole singing, and look, our friend Newt's here on the couch with us today.
Yeah, Cole Swindell singing for Florida Georgia Line. How dare they do that? They know how to do that?
Oh, the band that Brian discovered.
Right.
Mr. Speaker, so yesterday we were sitting on the curvy couch. We were talking about the big meeting the president was going to have at the White House with the 2 Democratic top leaders, the 2 Republican leaders. They were mad at him for that tweet that he said, I don't think a deal can get done. And so he posted, well, there was a lot of video, and we have some pictures of it, him sitting at the table with 2 empty chairs. Chuck and Nancy did not show up.
You know, the idea that you would give Trump this kind of an easy photo op.
Such a layup, right?
Yeah. He can sit there and say, I'm trying to solve it. I wonder where they are. I couldn't, you know, I met with Bill Clinton lots of times.
Have you ever turned down an invitation to the White House?
No.
So you think that was genius on his part?
Well, I think it was. I mean, it's not genius when somebody walks up to you and hands you a big, easy win, and you go, okay, I'll sit here and take the big, easy win.
Sure.
But he was smart to do. I like the way they set it up. They happened to put McConnell and Ryan out here on the ends, so you can be really clear who ain't there.
Absolutely.
But I add this, Mr. Speaker. We have December 8th, we run out of money. The government doesn't get funded. So we have to come up with a deal there, and he needs Democratic votes.
Well, here is a daring thought. McConnell's been very good at gradually grinding down the filibuster. And the other day was talking about maybe we'll shrink from 30 hours to 8 hours, if necessary to 4 hours.
To what? To what? For confirmation?
Right now for confirmation. If they put a hold on, they have 30 hours you have to wait before you can vote, which just makes it a pain in the neck. And McConnell said, okay, enough of this. Well, after he said maybe we'll do that, all of a sudden they approved 85 appointments.
Amazing how that all works, the squeeze play.
You know, I wouldn't be shocked. I think a lot of Americans would say, explain to me again why the Democrats can cause the government to shut down because the Senate has an artificial 60-vote requirement.
Sure.
Why don't we just do to that what we've done to the Supreme Court, make it a majority decision, and then they don't want to show up, fine, we'll just pass it without them.
And when you look at that image, it looks like the president and the Republicans are they showed up to the table to get something done, and the Democrats not in the picture, not on that side, not on that side. Here's the president talking about how Chuck and Nancy didn't show.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi did not show up for our meeting today. They've been all talk, and they've been no action. And now it's even worse. Now it's not even talk. So they're not showing up for the meeting.
Mr. Speaker, I'm shocked they didn't show up because last time they met with the president, they got a great deal.
Yeah, I don't know what, I don't know whether it's staff-driven or whether it is Schumer and Pelosi talking to each other, but the idea that you go, oh, gee, the president sent out a tweet that we're not going to get a deal, so we'll show him, we won't show up.
Have a tweet tantrum.
This is the easiest photo win Trump has had in his presidency.
So here's Schumer firing back.
President Trump made sure that today's meeting is nothing but a photo op. These issues are far too serious for these kinds of games. Mr. President, it's time to stop tweeting and start leading.
He says he's going to meet with congressional leaders in Congress because the president wants to get anything done. Do you think he realized that then the North Korean launch happens? Do you think he realized this was probably a bad play?
Look, you have the president who inch by inch is moving to passing the biggest tax cut in 30 years. That strikes me as getting something done. You have a president who just took over the Consumer Finance Protection Board and drove out Elizabeth Warren's
big
protege.
winning court yesterday for Mulvaney.
You have, as you say, you had the president dealing with North Korea. And I happened to run into Secretary Mattis yesterday. He was saying, you know, we have things we can do. He said, this will get more interesting.
They're working on it.
So a quick thing, the president, you talk about getting closer and closer to a tax cut. He seems the president has learned something from repeal and replace. He's so engaged, going down all the time to Capitol Hill. In fact, Senator Daines of Montana said the president did a great job coming to the Hill. It's nice to have a president who comes often and regularly, and a vice president that comes as well. How important is that engagement, especially if your greatest asset is your personality?
Enormous, because, look, all these politicians, including me back then, you run for office, you pay a huge price financially, you pay a huge price in getting beaten up in public. You finally win an office. You'd like to think you're somebody, you know. Well, if the President of the United States comes in and says, you know, Brian, I've looked at your proposal and I'm so impressed with how well you've done. You get a little puffed up. You go, the President of the United States say, I think I'll call my wife and tell her. The President said, you know, that kind of personal interaction makes a huge difference. And Trump said something I saw in the morning paper that is exactly right, but will drive our ideological allies crazy. He said, look, if I've got to accept a couple of minor amendments to get this thing passed, and they're talking particularly about Corker's idea, that the trigger. And what Trump is saying is, you know, fine, if I can get it without a trigger, I'd rather get it without a trigger, but I don't want to have no trigger and no bill.
Right.
That's a lesson you learned from Obamacare. You got to get the votes.
Do you think they will get the votes? They're about.
They're going to get the tax bill because.
How are they going to do it?
Because they're doing it under reconciliation, so it takes 50 votes plus the vice president,
which limits the scope of the tax cut.
Notice what they've been doing. They meet with Senator Collins, who had several very serious concerns. They found some ways to satisfy her concern without blowing up the bill. Right? So she gets a couple. She has two. I think she gets two bills on health reform that she really wants. She's now saying, well, you know, I think I can do this. But she wants one more thing, which is actually in the House bill, so they can probably find a way to do it. You then go to the next person, and you saw that Dane, for example, now is probably going to get a little bit of improvement on the small business provision, which I strongly have supported Johnson and Dane in the effort to make sure small business is treated well.
For those S corporations.
One by one, yeah, that's right. For S corp. So one by one, they're finding a solution for each
one. What
vote.
about McCain?
Yeah, that's the one left.
What?
John McCain.
John McCain.
Oh, look, John McCain is a force unto himself. You're not going to get John McCain with a deal. He's got to decide in the end, is this good enough? He's going to vote for it. Of all the people we're looking at, I think McCain is the least predictable. No, I don't know if you're going to lose him. I think John's also, you know, he went to his daughter's wedding and pretty happy, and you know, he might say
he didn't vote for the Bush tax cuts because he says I'm worried about the deficit. Can lose that. What about the mandate, releasing the mandate so people aren't going to get fined if they don't get insurance? That affects more people who make under $30,000 a year than anything else. It seems as though that has a shot.
Yeah, I think it does, and I think that's what they were working on with Senator Collins, who wanted to make sure that there were a couple of provisions that would protect the poor if they ended up repealing it. So, but she's gone a long way towards saying, okay, if I get these two provisions passed in a separate bill, I can tolerate living with this. This will be a huge bill.
Republicans can afford to lose two. Do you think there'll be two that will vote no?
Well,
maybe
first of all,
John McCain.
I mean, if I were McConnell, the majority leader, I wouldn't assume I'm going to lose anybody. I mean, I'd run a full court press. I'd listen to everybody. I'd sit down, let's have a cup of coffee. Tell me what your concerns are. And of all of those, the one who they found the hardest was McCain, because I mean they talked to him up to the last minute on Obamacare.
Absolutely. Well, if this does pass, it would be a gigantic win for the president and the Republicans as well.
By the way, it also makes Schumer's point stupid. I mean,
absolutely.
So the president's passing the largest tax cut in over 30 years, and you think he's getting nothing done.
He didn't like the tone of the tweet. and then
Well,
Nancy
Chuck has always been such a sensitive New Yorker.
It doesn't make any sense.
New York is such a delicate city.
If there's anyone who's not going to be insulted by President Trump, it's Chuck Schumer. He knows him better than anybody.
This is role playing. This is Shakespearean drama 101.
And you know all about drama because you've got that great book out. It is called Vengeance.
I do.
Folks are looking for a good Christmas gift.
Well,
Newt Gingrich's name,
and
right?
they also have right here a great author who does American history as well as anybody I know.
And another one right here with her great...
We'll have children's books.
Children. You and my wife can compare notes.
I know.
As
How's
children's
Calista
author.
doing? She loving Italy?
She is. Oh, I think she is so honored to be the ambassador that it's just been an amazing trip. I go with her occasionally as the trailing spouse.
Right.
And you go into the Vatican and you're in some of these rooms you've never been in.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing.
You know what? The Sistine Chapel's nice.
Yeah.
Good, Brian.
Right.
Good catch. You guys, you ought to come sometime, and once she gets settled in, maybe early next year, and do sort of a Fox and Friends tour of the
Wouldn't
Vatican.
that be wonderful?
We could do the show from the Vatican.
Please,
That would be
let's
great.
do that.
Or a college tour.
I'd go with the Vatican.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Newt, thank you very much.
All righty.
All right. Great to see you.
All right. 8:10 in New York City.
And Jillian has some headlines for us. Jillian?
That's right. Good morning. We're following a number of breaking news stories. Let's get straight to this Fox News alert. NBC Today Show anchor Matt Lauer has been fired for inappropriate sexual behavior. His former co-hosts Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb addressing the news earlier this morning.
We just learned this moments ago, just this morning. As I'm sure you can imagine, we are devastated and we are still processing all of this. We are heartbroken. I'm heartbroken for Matt. He is my dear, dear friend and my partner, and he is beloved by many, many people here. And I'm heartbroken for the brave colleague who came forward to tell her story.
The head of NBC News addressing it in a company-wide internal email saying, quote, while it is the first complaint about his behavior in the over 20 years he's been at NBC News, we were also presented with reason to believe this may not have been an isolated incident. So far, Matt Lauer has not commented. To another Fox News alert, a possible break in a frantic manhunt to find a 3-year-old girl who went missing from her North Carolina bedroom. The FBI now asking the public for help identifying the woman in these surveillance videos from a Walmart 50 miles from where the little girl went missing. They say that the girl could be Mariah, but her father, who hasn't seen her in a year, is questioning whether she was abducted at all.
Somebody just walked right up in there, grabbed the 3-year-old out of bed. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, nobody heard nothing.
Mariah was last seen Sunday night when her mother's boyfriend told her to go back to bed. She was gone in the morning. The back door was unlocked. President Trump winning round one in the battle for the Consumer Financial Agency's top watchdog. The judge siding with the White House, giving the legal green light to let Mick Mulvaney take over the CFPB. The ruling denying Obama-era holdover Leandra English's request to run the agency after a fight over who's in charge. President Trump tweeting the decision is, quote, a big win for the consumer. Okay, she might not have any big news, but this girl has a great sense of humor. Did you see this? Take a look. This family Christmas card reading, excited, engaged, expecting, and all by her lonesome mare, Emily, now going viral. The college student making fun of herself as her siblings and parents celebrate an upcoming wedding and baby in the family. I love stuff like this when you can just have fun. It's like, hey, I'm here all by myself. I'm Emily. What's up, guys?
A lot of ease. I'm still Emily.
Yep.
All right.
So
Thank you.
everyone else has something good going on in their life.
She's Emily.
It starts with an E.
Got it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Julian.
All right. Meanwhile, 8:13 here in New York City. An arrest has been made in that Tampa serial killer case. How cops found their guy. We are live with the breaking details coming up next.
And this is the most insane stunt you're ever going to see. Those wingsuit flyers. Now to a Fox News alert, breaking developments overnight. The search is over now for that serial killer who has been terrorizing a Florida neighborhood.
Yep, Dan Maddox with our Fox affiliate in Tampa, live from the jail where the suspect is being held. A big sigh of relief so far, right, Dan?
Hey there, good morning. Yeah, major sigh of relief for the Seminole Heights community. Hal Donaldson III, just 24 years old, no criminal record, now accused of gunning down 4 people in Tampa's Seminole Heights neighborhood. And it appears that a gun, a pistol, in a McDonald's bag could have brought all of this to an end. Let's take you back to late yesterday afternoon. He's an employee, works at McDonald's. He hands a McDonald's food bag to a coworker and says, "I'm going to flee the state." So then he leaves the restaurant. Inside, the coworker discovered a .40 caliber Glock pistol and ammunition. That coworker then goes to a Tampa police officer who was eating at that restaurant and says, "This is not right. You better take a look at this." Donaldson was then questioned by police. The gun was a match to the bullets fired at the scene of the crime. They found the clothing he was also wearing in surveillance video with blood stains, and his cell phone was also pinged at each of the crime scenes. That was enough for them to charge him. We spoke to Tampa Mayor Bob Buckhorn, talking about just how proud he is of the police department to end this after 51 days of searching.
Justice will be served, and then the process will occur when this individual rots in hell.
The suspect has no criminal record, so the big question is why? What is the motive here? If he did in fact do this, that is what we are expecting to hear today. We'll send it back to you.
Great questions. All right, Dan, thank you very much. And why did he just hand the bag with the gun to the manager and say, "Here, hold my gun"?
Almost like he wanted to get caught. He's smiling in a bunch of the pictures.
More details coming up.
All right, meanwhile, remember this story. Congressman John Conyers spotted flying coach back to Detroit from Washington, D.C. Will he ever return to Washington? We'll explore.
Plus, Elizabeth Warren lied about her heritage, but now she's using the president's Pocahontas comment to...
Glad you're up. Hope you're dressed. Now this. Overnight, Democratic Congressman John Conyers spotted flying coach back to Detroit from Washington, D.C., igniting rumors here on the couch and elsewhere that he may be heading home for good. It comes as top Democrats, including Nancy Pelosi, are ramping up pressure on the veteran lawmaker to resign. But keep in mind, she also called him an icon. Conyers is facing a congressional investigation into a myriad of sexual harassment allegations. And today, the Supreme Court will hear arguments in a landmark case about privacy in your pocket. It's all over whether or not police can track your cell phone data without issuing a warrant. We discussed that yesterday with our own judge. Previous rulings found we waive Fourth Amendment rights to privacy when sharing information with third parties like wireless providers. And that's all I have. I'm out of stuff.
Some other news, 2 gun bills set to be taken up in Congress later today. One of them calling to allow gun owners with concealed carry permits from one state to be able to carry their concealed permit as well into another state. That is being deemed a priority by the NRA.
Here to break it all down for us is the NRA spokeswoman, Dana Lash. Dana, thank you for joining us. I'm sure you've been following both of these stories. Good morning. So these 2 bills they're going to be looking at today. Why are these so important?
Oh, Ainsley, and that's such a great question. They're so important because this is basically reclaiming our rights and with national reciprocity, and I'm so pleased to see this. And this is why so many law-abiding, millions of law-abiding Second Amendment practitioners went to the polls in November because our rights should not end where a state line ends. I mean, this is all about making sure that everyone has equal access to any ability to defend themselves, and that's what this is about. I go back to the story of Jeanine Allen, and I know that everyone remembers Jeanine Allen. This was a young mother of 3. She ended up getting put in jail because she went from one state to another. She went into New Jersey. She's a law-abiding gun owner, had her concealed carry ID card. She presented that during a traffic stop. What ended up happening is that you can't possess a firearm like that in New Jersey. They threw her in jail. She had to get a pardon from the governor. That's insane that we're punishing people.
She was trying to get to her daughter's birthday party that day. She was going to her daughter's birthday party that day. They put her in jail for more than a month. And she was just doing the right thing, saying,
that's insane.
"Excuse me,
that
sir,
shouldn't be
I
happening.
do have a gun." I know.
Dana, I've got friends.
Right, exactly. Look, this is millions of Americans wanted this. We're happy about it.
No, I've got some friends down in Florida who have concealed carry permits there, but then when they come up 95, when they get to the Jersey state line where I live and where my friends live, they got to put the gun in the trunk and take it off their person.
Yeah, same way how it is for my family that lives in Missouri if they travel to Illinois. Look, this solves a lot of problems, and it makes sure, again, this is about the equal access of your pro-choice right of self-defense. That's what this is all about.
All right.
Well, so you have to really know the laws in all the states right now. It should just be a federal thing. So if they're driving up through like South Carolina, Alabama, they have to know all of the different states and all their laws.
Absolutely. Look what happened to the woman.
So sometimes it's like put it in your trunk. Sometimes put it in your glove box.
Especially in New Jersey. Sometimes put it in your holster. Meanwhile,
it can be incredibly difficult, almost purposefully so.
Talk about difficult. That's what Senator Warren was having a difficult time with the president's comments in front of those wind talkers, those 90-year-old World War II vets the other day when she referenced the fact that we have somebody in the Senate named Pocahontas, and twice she hopped on another network just to talk about how aggrieved she was. But it didn't stop Senator Warren from using that as a fundraiser missive. Am I correct?
You are correct. And Brian, speaking personally just for myself on this particular issue, I've watched this for a number of years. I find it awful that someone who ethnically appropriated an entire group of people for monetary gain is still doing the same thing and fundraising off it. There's an important distinction here. Elizabeth Warren didn't just claim that she had Cherokee ancestry. Elizabeth Warren listed herself. She self-identified as a minority on numerous documents. Cherokee genealogist Twyla Barnes, who was repeatedly, Elizabeth Warren refused to meet with Twyla Barnes repeatedly. Also, William Jacobson at Legal Insurrection have done fantastic work documenting all of this. The evidence is out there, and Elizabeth Warren has never answered why she was appropriating an ethnicity when she did nothing during her tenure so far as a senator to actually help Indigenous Americans, including polluting the Animas River or doing a number of other things that would actually help the people that she's exploiting for personal gain. She owes America an apology. The president doesn't owe her one.
Well, she's fundraising just on his comments, but certainly not her personal history. All right. Dana, thank you very much for joining us live from Dallas, Texas.
Thank you so much, Steve.
You bet.
Yes, sir.
All right, still ahead. Take a look at this. Dramatic new video showing the extreme fire dangers of your Christmas trees.
Yeah, that is a problem. Meanwhile, Todd Pirro is having breakfast with friends in Mississippi. We're going to check back with him coming up after a brief timeout. Good morning, folks.
Bye.
Down the Dixie Highway, back home. This is our country. Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful?
Can we talk? We have some amazing news this morning. We want to congratulate Fox & Friends weekend co-host Abby Huntsman. Yay! We welcome another girl into the Fox family.
That's right. Just after midnight, Abby gave birth to baby Isabel Grace, her first child, 5 pounds, 11 ounces, 20 inches long.
And as usual, when an anchor has a baby, we pay for the first baby to go to college. So we'll pay for all of it. Mom and baby are doing great according to reports. I'm going to look for a second source in Janice. Congratulations to Abby and Jeff and their families, especially to a happy grandfather in Russia. Right? Ambassador Huntsman. So Janice, what's your reaction? You think this is a good thing, right?
I love Abby so much. She's like a sister to me, and we've been texting all morning long while the show has been on, actually, from the hospital bed with the baby close by. I love her. I love this new little girl. I'm so proud of her and Jeff and her whole family, and she's going to make an amazing mom.
So you've been texting with her, and that's why she keeps yelling at Jeff. Jeff, will you get the baby? I'm busy. I'm texting Janice.
She's doing great. And look at her eyes. I mean, she's so beautiful, and she's doing so well, and Abby is great. She says she hasn't slept at all, but Jeff is sleeping no problem.
I told Abby, I said, Abby, this is going to be the best day of your life. She wrote me this morning and said, you are absolutely right.
That's great. Now, what do you guys think of the name?
I love the name. Isabel is gorgeous.
Do you have, is there something short for Isabel?
Izzy?
Could you say Izzy?
Yeah, she'll probably do. We'll have to ask
go
her.
with Grace.
But I love Grace because Grace is, as a Christian, I think Grace is such a beautiful word because that's what I feel like God does.
What do you think of Todd?
I like Todd. I like that name too.
Right. Listen, can we have more babies on the program? Can we get on that? We just need to have a baby every day.
Well, I wonder if there are any babies in attendance at the neighborhood grill in Olive Branch, Mississippi, where Todd Pirro is having breakfast with friends. Hey, Todd.
Hey, Todd.
Hey guys, no babies here, but just let me say, Abby couldn't have been nicer when I first arrived, and she's a sweetheart inside and out, so congratulations to her and Jeff. That is awesome. I got the chills right now watching that. Okay, we have to get down to business though, guys, and we're going to start with Jeff, and we're going to talk about tax reform. Jeff is an insurance appraiser who says he's not that worried about the $1.5 trillion reported deficit that's going to happen. Why do you say that?
Well, I just think that if you bring the jobs back and the companies back into the country, that will be taken care of over the long haul. I didn't see a lot of concern about the $10 trillion that was added to the deficit the last 8 years, and it's just I think that just adding that $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion over the next 10 years is not that significant.
Understood. Jeff, thank you very much for your time. Now we're going to go to the North Korea block. 3 gentlemen who want to talk about North Korea. We're going to begin with Danny, retired air traffic controller, who says we need to counteract North Korea's force with force. Why do you say that?
I think the only thing they understand is force. So when they fire a missile or threaten to fire a missile at us, we have to retaliate. I would like to see us shoot them down as soon as they fire one at us. That's what I'd like to see.
And Larry has the same view. Why do you have the same view as Danny?
He's a bully. And the only thing a bully understands is force. A punch in the nose and he'll back off.
Larry, thank you. We're now going to go to Terry. Terry has a similar view. Terry says the time for diplomacy is over. Why?
Oh, yes. We've been diplomatic about this thing for the last 20 years, and this guy's a bully, and he needs to be handled accordingly.
Thank you, Terry. You guys are so efficient with your answers, per my urging before. I was like, if you want to get to everybody, be efficient with your answers. We're going to switch gears now. We're going to go to my friend Steve. I have to look at the card for that. Steve, you're a lifelong Republican. You've always been Republican. Everybody at this table voted for Trump, and you say you are sick of the Republicans in Congress. Why?
I'm sick of all the obstructionists, Democrat or Republican. We voted people in to do their job. They're not doing their job. And the same machine, the same upswell in the country that elected President Trump is the ones that can get rid of these obstructionists and put people in there that can get the job done.
So you're happy with the job that President Trump is doing?
I'm ecstatic about the job he's doing.
Appreciate it. Gentlemen, thank you so very much. And quickly, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Sandy and Steve for allowing us to be here at the Neighborhood Grill. Come on over here. Big Fox and Friends fans, thank you all so much for allowing us to be here. We're going to toss it on back to New York where, again, congratulations, Abby. We all couldn't be happier for you.
That is right. All right. Todd, reporting live from Olive Branch down in Mississippi. I'm hungry.
I know, it looks good.
Where's Jillian?
Jillian's on the other side of Janice over there.
Hi.
Over here.
Hi.
Always is, Brian.
I didn't know she was deployed.
I want to also pass along congrats to Abby. It is such amazing news. She is so beautiful. I know. Okay, let's get you guys caught up on your news and start with the Fox News alert. Police hunting for a man behind a high-stakes heist in Sin City. Witnesses say he walked up to a poker cage at the Bellagio Hotel and pulled a gun on a worker. The suspect, seen on surveillance video wearing a wig, no one was hurt. And in another gambling hotspot in Reno, Nevada, a man is dead after opening fire from the same condo complex where the Las Vegas gunman once lived. The shooter firing for more than 20 minutes from the 8th floor before a SWAT team shot him. There's no known connection between this incident and the Las Vegas massacre. All fraternity social activities on hold at Indiana University. Students on the Interfraternity Council unanimously voting on a 3-month self-imposed suspension. They say it's not the result of a single incident and that they will use the time off to work with the community on creating a safer environment. The move comes amid several dangerous and even deadly incidents involving Greek life around the country. Okay, this is why you have to water your Christmas tree, okay? Dramatic video showing the extreme fire dangers of dry trees. This side-by-side comparison shows 2 trees on fire, but the dry one burst into flames in under 10 seconds, while the flames in the watered tree remain relatively contained. The clip released by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Move over Evel Knievel. Check it out. This might be the craziest stunt you'll ever see. 2 Red Bull wingsuit flyers jump from one of Europe's tallest peaks in Switzerland, then land inside a moving airplane. They practiced for 2 months, one session ending in bruised ribs before pulling off the amazing feat. They didn't even have parachutes. Guys, that's insane.
I think we're doing it. We're all going to do that.
All right, Brian's doing it. Brian said he's going to do it.
Yeah,
Will you do it tomorrow live?
Yeah, if you
right on 6th Avenue.
If you don't mind dropping me.
You don't need too much to practice. You can just do it all in one take, right?
It looks easy. Just zip it up and jump.
If you're off 5 feet, you're in the propeller. It's crazy.
Have fun, Brian.
All right.
Yeah.
But you know what's great about that? It's a great place to fight crime. You jump out of a plane, you fly for a while and see if there's anybody breaking the law.
And it's so funny. You guys are so funny. Like, if y'all get bored jumping out of a plane, you're like, what can we do next? Let's jump into a plane.
So, women could do it.
The inside of the plane, I hope it has a lot of cushion. Because they, like, slam their backs into the inside of the plane.
It did not.
I know. It looks
a little
painful.
rough, like flying into the
Write
back
us
of a truck.
if you've ever jumped back into a plane in a wingsuit.
You'd have to provide proof because we don't believe you. All right, meanwhile, straight ahead, Hollywood liberals like D.L. Hughley are trying to paint President Trump as a racist. Look at this.
It's not just African Americans, it's gay, it is Muslims, it is Latins, so he clearly is a racist.
But our next guest says language like that only makes race relations in the country worse. He's next.
And one of the biggest car shows in the country is about to get started. We're getting a sneak peek at some of the hottest cars that have never been seen before. Don't be surprised if we give one away. All right, some quick headlines now, so let's get started. We have a technical glitch. It's causing a major headache for Southwest airline passengers. Travelers citing problems with booking flights, changing reservations, and checking online, plus no assigned seats, but I ad lib. Those issues starting on Monday. Southwest has apologized for any inconveniences. It's unclear if the glitch has been completely resolved. Fantastic. And a Canadian man pleads guilty to helping Russian spies hack as many as 500 million Yahoo accounts. Karim Baratov is charged with identity theft and conspiring to commit computer fraud and abuse for his role in the 2014 breach. He faces up to 20 years in prison. The same thing as a terrorist. Meanwhile, on to race.
All right, thank you so much, Brian. D.L. Hughley is the latest Hollywood actor attempting to paint President Trump as a racist. Watch this.
It's not just African Americans, it's gay, it is Muslims, it is Latins, so he clearly is a racist. Donald Trump is uncouth, he's not bright, he is inarticulate, he's an embarrassment.
Our next guest says language like that